Ayy, look, yeah, ayy. I'm in the lab like Dexter, brand new batch he tested. I'm with all the extras, don't try and bitch, I'm pressure. I'm the type to step on steppers, I'm the type to step on steppers. I'm the type to step on steppers, I'm the type to step on steppers.
It's time to move on to the NBA playoffs, man. My favorite time of the year, where high stakes basketball each and every game, games every other day, games each and every day, man. I just love to see it. And let's go ahead and start off with the Eastern Conference. We'll give our predictions there, and then we'll go ahead and move back down to the Western Conference, which I believe is more interesting. But we'll go ahead and start off with the number one seed in the Milwaukee Bucks, matching up with you guys' Miami Heat. Who do you guys think is going to win? How many games?
It's gonna be the Bucks, and it's gonna be a sweep. I'm not even give one Jimmy Butler game. It's gonna be a sweep, a clean sweep. I mean, just a total lack. This is just giving me PTSD from 2021. Like that's exactly the type of feeling I'm getting from this type of game. I mean, Bam, he's gonna try to exercise his demons versus Brook Lopez. I don't think that's gonna happen with how he's been playing post All Star break. Jimmy Butler, just a total lack of shooters around him. I mean, we went from one of the best, if not the best, 3-point shooting teams in the league last year to like bottom 5, bottom 3 in the league this season. So you're going up against a Bucks team with the arguably the best player in the world in Giannis, with a 6'5" power forward and Bam Adebayo next to him. I mean, that's just a recipe for disaster. I don't expect us to even get a single game. It's just going to be a mauling on the glass. It's going to be a mauling in the paint. And if Bam has to switch out, I mean, I can't even imagine what Giannis is going to do to us. I mean, Bam sits for 5 minutes. They're going to score 15 plus points if Giannis is on the floor. So I expect this to be a sweep, and they're just going to dominate 100%. It's going to be easy for them.
Yeah, I was gonna kind of go on the positive side and say we get a gentleman's sweep, maybe like one good game, but you debunked all of that. So I'm still gonna go that angle. I think we get one, just on the glaring fact that maybe, like you said, like Jimmy might just have like a crazy good game, like a 40 piece. But as far as defensively, I think we're gonna play a lot of zone, which I mean, obviously they have shooters, so that's gonna like be like no trouble for them at all. And yeah, I mean, we're playing Giannis. We're playing arguably like one of the what's it called, the finalists for Defensive Player of the Year in Brook Lopez. So yeah, I mean, to be honest, we're screwed. But it's gonna be a fun little series for us to kind of just run around and just have some fun. That's how I see it. Let's have some fun, guys. Come on, Heat.
I'm gonna give the gentleman a sweep. 4-1. I'm gonna give Miami one game. I think they do pull one game. Jimbo's gonna do some playoff awards. He's gonna show up against the Bucks. He'll probably get like 22 free throws. Score 40 points, 18 points on the field. But 22 free throws is a lot. But I do expect him to pull off one. But Giannis, Brook Lopez, Drew Holiday, Bobby Portis, guys like that. They're playing phenomenal. One guy's a six-man of the year candidate. Another guy's a MVP candidate. Another guy's a defensive candidate. Even Drew Holiday, like you can throw him up there as one of the best two-way players in the league as well. So there's gonna be a lot going on for Miami to handle. And yeah, Bucks 4-1. It ain't much to say. We know what's gonna happen.
I agree, man. I agree. It's not much to say about this series. I do believe there's going to be one sweep in the Eastern Conference, but I'm kind of thinking about which one it's going to be between this series and the Atlanta Hawks and Boston Celtics series. But I'll go ahead and pick this one. I like the backcourt in Atlanta to get one game at home against the Celtics, man. It's just, this series is going to be a straight mauling, man. Honestly, there's no true answer for Giannis. He's going to have his way with the Miami Heat, and then it's just going to be struggles all around when he has to kick out to all these shooters, and he has space, all across the floor. So it's gonna be a nice little reality check for the Miami Heat. Obviously, I mentioned it later in the season. The Miami Heat are kind of in this cycle where they do great one year, then they kind of take a step back and do great another year and kind of take a step back. This is one of those years where they take a huge step back and get bounced in the first round, gets by in the sweep. So it's gonna put a lot of pressure on Pat Riley to make some moves. So as a Miami Heat fan, there's something to look forward to in the offseason if Pat Riley could just retool this roster and make a move for a superstar to pair alongside Jimmy Butler, because obviously Jimmy Butler is not getting any younger, and we all know that he has a lot of mileage on him, and he only shows up in the postseason to play. And it'd be nice to have a complimentary superstar alongside him, and then Tyler Hero and Bam, and then there's some solid rotational players. You got yourself a squad. So I'm gonna go ahead and say the Bucks sweep the Miami Heat in this one, and then they end up fixing their roster coming into next year. But let's go ahead and move on to a more interesting series between the 4 and the 5 seed. We have the Cleveland Cavaliers playing the New York Knicks.
I think this series goes to 7. Um, just because, for one, on the Cleveland Cavaliers side, there's question marks regarding the lack of wings that they have in, our preseason when we were talking about the best duos in the league, and we're talking about the Cavaliers. Like, my question mark was never for the backcourt. I feel like that backcourt is a phenomenal fit in how they work together and they operate offensively, but defensively. And offensively, that small forward position has always just been an issue for the Cavs all season long. They've had Isaac Okoro there. They have Lamar Stevens there. They had Dean Wade there. They had a lot of people try to fill in Karis LeVert at times, and none of them were able to actually fit that role of a small forward that they needed. And it's been an issue all season long. And the lack of bench depth, outside of Ricky Rubio and Chetty Osman, like, who do they really have to operate off their bench? Kevin Love last year was their 6th Man of the Year finalist, and he's not on that team anymore. He's washed. They have nobody on that bench to operate. The Knicks, they have been playing great in the second half of the season with Jalen Brunson leading the way and Julius Randle there as well. And they're getting in good production from the role players like Mitchell Robinson and Josh Hart. So I think this series is going to go to 7, but ultimately I have the Cavs winning this series just because of Donovan Mitchell. I feel like Donovan Mitchell, to me, he's just an absolute stud in the playoffs. He's a playoff riser, and his level of shot making is going to be the reason why the Cavs end up pulling out this series. I just feel like what he brings to the table in terms of his scoring come playoff time is second to none. Amongst shooting guards, he's right there with Devin Booker, and he has a case of being the best shooting guard in the league. That's how much I feel like this guy, when it's time to show up, he's going to show up. So, I have the Cavs winning this series. It's going to be interesting with Mobley versus Randle and, how they attack that and how they end up getting Randle to get his touches and be able to score. But I have the Cavs winning in 7.
This series arguably is probably the best series in the East, without a doubt. Other than that, like, we got the playoff performer, we got D Mitch out there. You know what he's capable of. Obviously, like Brunson, he showed it last year. He's capable of being that guy in the playoffs. This series honestly is the most intriguing one. As far as my favorite to win this one, I can't lie. I'm kind of leaning towards the Knicks. I don't know. Yeah, no, I'm leaning towards the Knicks. Let me get the Knicks, and I'll say that for this reason why I feel like Randall's finally gonna get it together. He's finally gonna get it together. I know he does a lot of shot chucking. I know he does a lot of like inconvenient shots, but he's finally gonna get it together. And Brunson kind of keeps him sane. And then we got Quickly. Quickly is obviously in contention for 6th Man of the Year. I think they win it at 7.
Yeah, like Hennis said, man, this probably the best series that we got going on in the East, compared to the other three series, I feel like this one is, man, you got, on one side, Garland, Mitchell, and the other side you got Randall, and you got, what's his face, Jalen Brunson, and you guys got Obi Toppin coming off the bench, Josh Hart coming off the bench, Emmanuel Quickly coming off the bench. They got some solid pieces, and then you go back to the Cavs with Mobley, Jared Allen, and more solid pieces on that team. And for me, it all comes down, it's gonna be Donovan Mitchell, and we know what type of player he is when we've seen him perform in the playoffs. I feel like he's going to take it over the edge again, but I feel like it's going 7. I'm going to have the Cavs winning this in 7. I feel like defensively with Jared Allen and Mobley, they're going to give problems to Julius Randle in the paint. We're probably going to see that soon, and I can't wait for that. But at the same time, man, Brunson's a dog. That guy is a hooper. He came into this Knicks team. I feel like he's the best Knicks player. A lot of people say Julius Randle, but for me, I feel like Brunson's the game changer. The way he can attack the paint, the fadeaways, the stuff he does, I feel like he's the game changer, especially, with him handling the ball a lot and, RJ being a ghost most of the time in games. I expect him to
That guy's going to be the reason why they lose the series.
Yeah, I feel like if RJ doesn't step up, I feel like they're going to lose the series because RJ's not there.
Did you agree with me last week in our last episode when I said Brunson was the best player on the Knicks?
Pretty sure I did. I think I'd be said Randall.
For sure. I said Randall.
I've always been a Brunson fan. I agree with you on that.
For sure.
So yeah,
I'm a Randall believer, man.
Like I said, RJ. I feel like RJ Barrett is going to be a key in the series, and if he doesn't show up, man, I feel like they're going to lose the series. If guys like Quickly, hopefully they can keep.
But so be it. I feel like Brunson got us. Why do we need RJ to show up? Like,
RJ's another
he
big
provides
team though. Like,
the thing is, RJ's gonna get open shots. He's gonna get shots.
If he doesn't show up and like he doesn't do what he's supposed to do, it's kind of gives off vibes like, hey, this guy, we paid him a lot of big type of money, and he's not there performing. It's like a waste of space. You feel me? Yeah, so I feel like Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, those two guys, especially Garland, I do want to see him step up a lot more. I feel like he got to take more into consideration that he doesn't need to take the seat back from Donovan Mitchell. He just got to play his type of game and go get it. He go be more aggressive, and we're gonna see that hopefully. So I got the Cavs in 7.
Hey man, I completely hear you guys when you guys talk about D Mitch and him being a playoff riser, man. We see it each and every year and stuff like that. But I'm glad we have Hennon on today's episode rocking with me, man, because I'm going with the Knicks in this one, man. It's gonna be an interesting series. I got these guys winning in 7. Just simply on the fact that it's just gonna be tough to stop this guy Jalen Brunson, and I feel like it doesn't matter what you throw at him. It doesn't matter what type of size the Cleveland Cavaliers got with Mobley and Jared Allen. This guy just gets to any spot that he wants on the court, and it's an automatic bucket. These guys, obviously, I've highlighted it way on early on in the preseason. These guys don't have wing depth, and they can't defend the ball. They can't defend anybody's best offensive player. They're gonna have a lot of struggles with that. So it's just like, what can the Cavs do to slow down Jalen Brunson? You can't necessarily double him because, like, obviously the New York Knicks, they got some options. The Julius Randle could do his thing. RJ Barrett, when he gets it together, he can do his thing quickly. Josh Hart can do his thing. Like, it's just like you can't necessarily throw a double team at Jalen Brunson and try to get the ball out of his hands and kind of just have somebody else try to beat you type thingy. So it's just like, I think the edge is really simply the lack of wing defenders that the Cleveland Cavaliers have is why I have the Knicks winning this one. I think RJ Barrett is the X factor, though. I do agree with you guys because I think Jalen Brunson is going to bring it. I think Julius Randle is going to have himself a nice little series. He's going to be able to bring it. And these guys, they do have a little bit of depth to them. Josh Hart coming off the bench, he's going to be playing heavy minutes quickly. We talked about, I know me and Bandit talked about him kind of being the Jordan Poole, Maxey, Tyler Hero, Simons kind of guy for the New York Knicks. And he kind of showed that this year coming off the bench. And even when he started a couple of games this year. So it's just like he needs to step up off the bench. Obi Toppin could do his thing. And their backup big Hartenstein could do his thing, kind of give a breather to guys like Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson. So I feel like, this series is going to go back and forth between these two teams, man. It's going to be entertaining as hell. But I got to give the Knicks the edge in this one, man. So it's just going to come down to, who could play the better defense. And I feel like I trust the Knicks on that end of the ball. And I feel like, obviously Donovan Mitchell can do his thing but I got to see something else from everybody else around him. It's going to have to be Garland because Garland's his running mate. You can't necessarily rely on guys like Chetty Osman and Okoro and Stevens and stuff like that. And Mobley can do his thing a little bit, but he's not necessarily a guy you can give the ball to and be like, hey, go get yourself a bucket. So it's going to be interesting to see, but go ahead and give me the Knicks in 7, man. I got these guys moving on to the second round. But let's go ahead and move on to the next series, man. We have the Philadelphia 76ers playing the Brooklyn Nets. I'm sorry. Who do we got winning?
I have the 76ers in 5 in this game. One, I mean, the 76ers have the MVP on their side. They have Joel Embiid, who I think is going to win the MVP. To me, who's been the favorite all year long and my pick for it. But simply, it comes down to one. They have him, and on the other side, they don't have a secondary scorer. I mean, who is their next best scorer after Mikal Bridges? And that's the issue with Brooklyn Nets ever since Mikal came into town. Who's going to be a reliable secondary scorer for these guys? I mean, Cam Johnson. He's a good little shooter, movement shooter, but is that really enough? Is he gonna put pressure on the defense? Spencer Dinwiddie, he's too up and down. Cam Thomas doesn't even play. I mean, where is the production gonna come as a secondary scorer? Sorry, they have a bunch of shooters on the outside, but if you have nobody that puts pressure on the defense, how are you gonna stop them? And James Harden, he's gonna do his role in terms of facilitating and. I just feel like this is going to be a comfy 5-game series where one game is just going to be Mikal Bridges and everybody getting hot for the Brooklyn Nets. Other than that, I just don't see a situation where they're going to stop this offense. They've been a top 5 offense all year long, and they've been a top 7 defense for the most part. So, I just don't see them stopping them.
Yeah, so this one actually, to be quite honest, this one could go into the sweep if the Sixers really lock in and just like, hey, like let's like get our dirty laundry out and let's clean it up and let's get right. They could definitely sweep this team. The MVP, they got Embiid, of course. He's been that guy this season. They got the assist leader, James Harden, Tyrese Maxey. They got guys there. I'm not gonna say Tobias Harris is a guy he never been. And then other than that, like they can really sweep this team if they really lock in. So like the part of my heart's telling me, like this is gonna be a sweep. But I feel like you said, I feel like Mikal Bridges could probably just sneak away with like one good game. So I'm gonna go gentleman sweep, Sixers in 5.
Y'all tripping. The Nets got no superstars or anybody on that team. Like Miami, like we picked him because of Jimmy Butler. You feel me? Like this is Jimmy Butler. Okay, we're gonna give him a chance at least one game. But the Nets, I got Sixers sweeping them 4-0. Hey, not Cam Johnson. Mikal Bridges can go for his 35, 40, whatever it is. He can cook up. You guys got guys like Spencer Dinwiddie or Dinwiddie like word to what's his face? Kuzma said whatever his name is, Din or Din whatever. That guy's ass. Cam Johnson, he's not trash, but he's not a guy that I'm gonna go to as a second option. Nick Claxton's not an offensive scorer. I can't even pair out the rest of the people that start on that team. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like you guys giving him a game chance, that's crazy. To me, I feel like the Sixers, they're coming in, with an objective. They want to, set the tone right away. They want to get comfortable in this playoffs and get Embiid, get Harden cooking, get Maxey involved, and hopefully Tobias Harris involved, which Tobias was today in this game. But to me, I don't see the Nets pulling off one game. I see 4-0 sweep. I see Embiid, Harden having fun with him. Embiid had an okay game today, but he really didn't need to do much. Harden had a fantastic game, and the other guys pitched in well. So I do see a sweep coming. Mikal Bridges had a good game today, but they lost by 20 still. So he can keep on having good games. Defensively, they're not going to stop Embiid. They're not going to stop Harden. They're not going to stop Maxey. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see it though. It'll be a gentleman's sweep because I feel like the Brooklyn Nets can get hot. So personally, I'm gonna go gentleman's sweep, but I think Hannah hit it around the head to start it off, man. If these guys, the 76ers, want to be a serious team, if they want to put teams like the Milwaukee Bucks and teams like the Boston Celtics on notice and kind of send a message to them, and by really just dominating a series, they got to do it right now. And I feel like they can do it this series. This is a series to do it. The first round, you send a message to those two teams. You get the Brooklyn Nets, who are a team that obviously I don't think they should be in the playoffs because KD and Kyrie kind of did all the heavy lifting, and Mikal Bridges and these guys kind of came in and just steadied the ship. So if the Sixers are who they say they are, who they think they are, they try to get these boys out of here in 4, and then they move on. And they're already game planning for the Boston Celtics when they come out of their series. So I think it's gonna be 5 though. Give me the Sixers in 5. I think one game, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, and these guys, they all just get extremely hot. I think it's probably gonna be game 3 at home. Or I think it's going to be game 3, but it's going to be either one of those home games that they got. It's probably Philly is going to lose one of those games, come back to home, and end the series right there. So go ahead and give me the Sixers in 5. Not much to say about this series. I think James Harden and Joel Embiid are going to have a lot of fun. Maxey can contribute where he can. Tobias Harris, if he wants to show up and be that max player that they paid him to be. So it's going to be interesting. But Sixers should get these guys out of here in 4. But I'm going 5. But we'll go ahead and talk about the last series in the first round for the Eastern Conference. We have the number 2 seed Boston Celtics going up against the Atlanta Hawks. Who do we got?
Sweep the Celtics 100%. I didn't even have to think about this. I mean, Trae Young played against the Miami Heat last year, and he got dogged. He got absolutely dogged. Now he's playing against an even better defense with more depth and better guard play. I mean, like this guy's going to be going up against Malcolm Brogdon, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, Robert Williams, a bunch of switchable defenders who, Trae Young, a lot of his production comes off being able to operate out of the pick and roll. And these guys aren't just going to allow that. They have a lot of athletic defenders. They're going to swarm him. They're going to give him problems. They have a lot of length. They're just going to bother his shot. I just feel like Trae Young isn't going to have another good series. He's going to be a playoff dropper again this series, especially against the Celtics. They have too many athletes. I mean, Derek White has been playing phenomenal all season long as a starter. I mean, this guy should get considerations for all NBA defensive team. I mean, he's been absolutely like bonkers on that end. Jason Tatum, of course, he's been an MVP level candidate all season long, and Jaylen Brown, he's been an all-star, all NBA type of guy, and I just don't see a situation where they can even pull out one game just because of the sheer amount of talent and depth that these guys have. And really, I think that these guys are going to end up playing 35 minutes a game max. I don't think they'll even touch 40 for the most part in this series. That's how much I believe this Celtics team are just going to dominate the Hawks. They're my pick for the entire playoffs. They're my pick for the finals. This team's just too good, man.
This is a point blank period. This is going to be a sweep. I agree with you on that. The fact that they're just trying to just get this done and get this over with and prepare for Philly, because obviously that's where the challenge lies. But obviously this team's like they're built for the postseason. They got a 1A, Jason Tatum. They got a 1B, Jaylen Brown. Al Horford go hit that corner shot a couple times, and then they got Robert Williams to roam around, which he does effectively, of course. And then Derek White, he doesn't get a lot of respect. He's kind of underrated, but he's definitely been on. He's been on stuff this season for sure. And then Malcolm Brogdon is contention for sixth man of the year. His game's boring, but like he's really been on his been on his game as well. So I mean, this team is definitely built for the long run. They're built for the postseason. I'm excited to see what they do onward.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think Big H went to the bathroom, so I'll go ahead and piggyback off what you just said. So I think obviously I mentioned that there's going to be one sweep in the Eastern Conference, and I thought it was going to be this series, but I changed it up and I went with the Bucks. So I think this series ends in 5 though. It's not going to go any further than that. It's like I feel like Trae Young, he's going to struggle a little bit. Obviously we saw him go up against the Heat and how we all saw how aggressive they were with him. I feel like it's going to be real tough to do it against this Boston defense, man. And obviously I feel like in one game, maybe in game 3 or game 4, Trae could possibly get a little hot against the Celtics. Maybe DeJounte does his thing. Maybe this bench unit, could do their thing and still one game. But that's about it, man. The Boston Celtics, you hit it around the head, man. These guys are built for the postseason. We saw their run last year, man, with the way they started. They attacked the Brooklyn Nets from the jump, man. They got KD and Kyrie out of there in 4. They took advantage of Giannis not having Chris Middleton in that second round, and with the Jason Tatum Game 6 performance, forcing that series to go to 7 and taking care of business at home, and then unfortunately, handing you guys an L in that Eastern Conference Finals, but still a hell of a series all the way up until the NBA Finals, giving the Warriors a little bit of a push, a little bit of a fight, but even though they came up short, they still had a good season to look back on, man. With the way their season started last year, really not picking it up until early January, where Ime really had to challenge these guys. And now that even though they don't even have Ime anymore, Mazzulla came in, but the identity was already built. Like, these guys know what type of brand of basketball they want to play, and they're not going to go away from it. This team,
And they're
this
even
boss,
better offensively, honestly.
it's like these guys just know, like I know how the Boston Celtics are. These guys are gonna check up a lot of threes, and then Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown can really break down the defense. But like that's just how the game is now. That's the way the game is going, and it worked for them last year, and it's working at a higher rate this year. So I think these guys, get them out of here in 5 games, and then hopefully Trae Young in this offseason, he really looks himself in the mirror and tells himself, I cannot be in Atlanta one more day. Obviously the whole DeJounte Murray trade, it didn't work out and stuff like that, and to how he wanted it to be. But this roster is just not good enough to compete against a championship contending team in Boston. So go ahead and give me the Celtics to win this one in 5.
You guys giving a lot of trash teams one game every single time. I believe Boston's gonna abuse these guys, abuse them. Right? There's nothing else that Trae Young or DeJounte Murray can do. It's going to be tough for them in the backcourt. They're going to throw different looks at him. Tatum is going to be on him. Jaylen Brown's going to be on him. Marcus Smart's going to be on him. Brogdon's going to be on him. The switches, the doubles with Robert Williams coming off the screen. Even Horford's a fantastic defender. They're going to put him through hell. And I expect every game to just be a blowout. And we know what Boston is. I feel like Boston's one of the best teams in the East, up there with Milwaukee Bucks. Jason Tatum's a top 5 player. Jaylen Brown's one of the best two-way players in the league as well. And they got a fantastic roster. So I don't expect the Hawks to come in and, do much, especially against a top-tier defense like this and a fantastic offense like Boston has with the depth they have on the bench. I feel like it's going to be a lot for Atlanta to handle. And, who knows? This might be Trae Young's last year in the Atlanta Hawk jersey, them not giving him too much help up front, not building the roster successfully around for him to succeed like certain other teams do around their star players. Who knows if he wants to be out of there? They came out dangling, hey, we might give the green light to trade Trae Young. We might want him off the team and everything. A lot of stuff's a possibility this summer, but I don't expect them to get one game. I got Boston winning in 4.
It's kind of interesting thing to look at. One last thing before we move on. It's like the what worked for the Atlanta Hawks with Trae Young and DeJounte Murray in that game against Miami was just having another guy to control the game. I feel like in this series it's not going to be help at all because Trae Young is going to throw the ball to DeJounte when Marcus Smart's on him, and then DeJounte is going to have the ball with Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum on him, and the Celtics can switch from 1 through 5, and it's just going to be really tough for these guys. So, but enough about the Boston Celtics. They'll handle business as we all predicted. Let's go ahead and move on to the Western Conference, man, where the dogfight is going to begin. This is what we've been waiting for the last 3 months. We wanted to watch these teams in the Western Conference just go at it. And let's go ahead and start off with the number 1 seed Denver Nuggets, man. They go up against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Who do we got?
I know a lot of people definitely thought this series would have been more interesting with Jaden McDaniels being there and Nas Reed being there. I feel like it would have made things a lot more intriguing and interesting. But with those guys not being available, I think I have Nuggets in 5. I just simply think that this offense that they have is just ridiculous. I mean, Jokic at the centerpiece of it all, and the lack of Jaden McDaniels being there. I feel like the biggest X factor in the series and a guy who I expect to have a huge series is Michael Porter Jr. No Jaden McDaniels there, and this guy's been absolutely ridiculous from the 3-point line. I just feel like Jokic is going to generate a lot of looks, and if they have a lineup where they're playing Cat and Gobert, I feel like that's easy for for the Nuggets to defend because you're gonna have Aaron Gordon who can move his feet against someone like Cat, and Gobert is going to be taking up space in the paint, and it's just going to be the floor is going to be too shrunk versus them. And even when you try to play something with Aaron Gordon versus Slomo and Jokic versus Cat, I feel like that's still something that that they can counter. And usually you would have had Jaden McDaniels guarding someone like Jamal Murray, but you won't. You have Anthony Edwards guarding Jamal Murray, and I feel like that's a downgrade with that 2-man game that they have. And I just don't think that they'll have enough advantages to take care of versus someone like Jokic. I think he's gonna have a huge series, and this Nuggets offense is built for success. And versus a team like the Wolves, who aren't as disciplined as them and whose offense isn't as good as them, I just believe the Nuggets gonna win the series in 5.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. I think this is easily a Nuggets winning the series flat out in 5. The fact that they lost their best like perimeter defender, Jaden McDaniels. That's the guy you could throw at their best player. You could throw at like a Jamal Murray in the perimeter, and then have Anthony Edwards rest on the defensive end. Because if he's tried on the defensive end, it's going to affect him on the offensive end. So I mean, they're missing out on that, and then obviously like Gobert clogging the paint is not going to help either. So yeah, I mean, they just got to chop it up for next year. But obviously, the Nuggets are nothing to play with, and they're going to win this in 5 nonetheless. There's nothing to say about this series.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be a tough series. Like, maybe if they had McDaniels, maybe if they had Nas Reed coming off the bench, maybe it looked different. But missing those 2 key guys, 2 contributors to that team, I feel like it's gonna be tough, especially with Gobert. When Cat's sitting on the bench and Gobert's by himself, they're gonna throw Gobert into a whole lot of situations. He's about to get cooked, pick and roll situations, and that it's gonna be tough. Ant's gonna be thrown into some tough positions as well defensively. He's gonna have to guard Jamal Murray. He's gonna have to switch sometimes and be on Jokic through those switches, and it's gonna be tough for him on the defensive side of the ball. But I probably agree with you guys. I probably have the Nuggets going in 5. Offensively, they've been fantastic this year. Fantastic this year, especially with Jokic. The efficiency that he's been putting up. He's been a phenomenal player, one of the best players in the league at this point right now. So, yeah, I don't expect him to struggle against the 8th seed. I don't expect him to struggle against Gobert. Last time they played, Gobert was yelling, "Yeah, man, I got him. And Jokic responded back, "Brother, I already have 47 on your head. Like, what are you gonna do?" So, we've seen that happen before, and I feel like it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough on Ant. They're gonna throw a lot of different mismatches on Ant. They're gonna throw, KCP on him. They're gonna put Jamal Murray on him. They're gonna put Aaron Gordon on him some possessions. He's gonna see a lot of different looks defensively, and it's gonna be tough for him as well. And I think Cat has a good series though. I do believe Cat's gonna have a good series against the Nuggets. I don't think Jokic can guard him on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think they're going to put Aaron Gordon on him. Physically wise or mentally wise, I think Aaron Gordon's not going to be able to guard him either. But I think Cat has a good series, but I don't think it's going to be enough. So I got the Nuggets in 5.
Yeah, I'm not going to say too much about this series. I agree with you guys. Nuggets get these guys out of here in 5. Would have been a little interesting with Jaden McDaniels and Nas Reed, as you guys mentioned. But I'm just happy to see the Denver Nuggets back at full strength, man. The last time we saw these guys back at full strength was the bubble. And we all saw how Jamal Murray went off and how Nikola Jokic was playing crazy. And so I'm just glad to see Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. and Nikola Jokic all back on the same floor come postseason time, man. Because this team is a dangerous team, man. They're one of the contenders in the Western Conference. But obviously they're a little lucky on this side. Obviously they earned their right to play the Minnesota Timberwolves. Actually, I don't want to say they're lucky. It's not easy being the 1 seed in a tough Western Conference. So I'll give them that. They got these guys out of here in 5. But that wasn't the series I was talking about when I said that we have a dogfight in the Western Conference. Let's go ahead and move on to the more interesting series, man, between the 4 and 5 seeds. We have the Phoenix Suns, man, going up against the Los Angeles Clippers. Who we got?
Man, I only wish that Paul George was healthy for the series. It's looking like, based off reports, that Paul George is most likely to to miss this entire first round, which is unfortunate because you'd like to see him healthy. You know, the Clippers have this crazy injury bug. It's been plaguing them for a while now. But to preview this series, I think it's going to be Phoenix Suns in about 6. The only reason why I say 6 is because, you know, Kawhi Leonard, when it comes to the playoffs, he's as big as a playoff riser as any superstar that you can ever name. When it comes to the playoffs, this guy knows how to perform, and he's someone that's going to get to spots and he's going to score. But I just feel like with the amount of athletes that they have in Westbrook and Terrence Mann, and they have a lot of guys in Norman Powell and Batum and Covington and Zubac. They have a lot of contributors on that team. They have good depth as well. Mason Plumlee on the bench as well. I feel like they have a lot of guys that can come in and contribute. So it could lead to a couple series win. But ultimately, when you have 2 out of 3 of the best players on the court on one side versus Kawhi Leonard, I feel like that's just kind of unfair. It's going to be something where, you know, you have Kevin Durant, who's going to really be guarding him. You're going to probably put Nicholas Batum on him because you don't want Kawhi Leonard guarding KD. And then Devin Booker, who's going to be guarded by him? Probably someone like Terrence Mann or of the sort. So I just feel like those two as scoring options is just too much for the Clippers to handle. I like the Clippers' athleticism and their depth, but ultimately I like what the Phoenix Suns have in terms of their scores and who's on that side. So give me the Suns in about 6 in this series. If Paul George was here, man, I would be rocking with the Clippers any day of the week. But Paul George isn't here, and I got to go with the best scorer in the league and one of the best mid-range shooters in the league as well, in Devin Booker. So
Wow. So I mean, no Paul George. That's definitely gonna affect my pick for sure. I thought he's not gonna be back.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
Nah,
Yeah,
It's not looking like it, man.
I tried to clarify because
it's not looking like it, man.
yeah. Okay, then. All right. So for this one, it would have been a dogfight if he was there, but like obviously, like with the perimeter scoring they got with KD, I'm a big Book guy, so seeing Book out there, he's gonna do his thing. Chris Paul, he's gonna be Chris Paul. I guess you can say whatever you want about him. Then AN, they depend on him just to make his dunk finishes and everything. So as far as this series, I think it goes. I mean, obviously with the willpower of like Kawhi, this team goes as far as Kawhi could take them. So I think this series goes to 6. Suns to 6, but Kawhi just has those 2 good games where he's just really effective, and then the bench unit, like, do they start Norman Powell or no?
He comes off their bench.
I think they start Eric Gordon.
Eric Gordon. Oh, okay. Yeah. Then I'll be Norman Powell's.
And that's another guy that they have that can contribute. So
well, to be honest, I think they should start Terrence Mann, but I don't know. This team just got so much, like they got so much depth. It's kind of a negative thing. I don't know. They're a weird team, but I'm gonna take the Suns at 6.
Yeah, man. Paul George not playing it's a big hit to this team, man. Especially against the Suns. I feel like this series with Paul George would have been a different case if he played. It would have been a different case. They would have gave the Suns fits, you know, put PG on Book, put Kawhi on KD. I'm not even worried about CPO. We know what type of player he is when it comes to playoffs. And he's another soft player as well. So those 2 guys, I feel like, you know, they got lucky that, you know, Paul George wasn't playing. Book's gonna, you know, I feel like Book's gonna have a phenomenal playoff series. I feel like KD is gonna come in. He's gonna go to war Kawhi like we've seen in the past. They've been played against each other in the playoffs multiple times. They've been to war. But I think, you know, it goes. I feel like it's gonna go 7 just off the sheer willpower of Kawhi Leonard. I feel like, you know, this guy. We know what type of playoff performer he is and how he comes into the playoffs and plays, and the depth that they have with Norman Powell and guys like, you know, coming off the bench, Terrence Mann, even Bones Highland, you know, Zubac playing a phenomenal role. Even guys I felt like Westbrook against CPO, he might have a phenomenal playoffs. You know, Westbrook can turn the clock back a little bit, and they might have a chance to win. So guys like that can step up. Role players like that can step up. I feel like Clippers might have a chance, but just the star power that the Suns have with KD, Book, even throwing Ayton in there, it's gonna be a little too much. But I think the Suns go win in 7.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you in this one, Big H. I feel like, you know, the Suns, obviously we all know what type of power they're coming with. They're coming with KD and Book as a scoring option, so it's gonna be tough to stop. I feel like the recipe for the Clippers' success right now without Paul George just has to be their depth, man. They got to utilize their depth. They got to maximize it to the best of their abilities because that's really all they got. That's the edge that they have right now in this matchup against the Phoenix Suns. I feel like the Phoenix Suns are gonna have to play these guys heavy minutes. They're gonna have to play Book. They're gonna have to play KD and CP3 and DeAndre Ayton about 38 to 40 minutes. They're not. There's just not gonna be a lot of resting for these guys because you can't necessarily trust guys like Damian Lee and Landry Shamet to come off the bench and sustain leads for you. And I've already highlighted this before, so. I feel like the Clippers, if their bench can come in here and just straight up dominate the game and just give Kawhi a chance whenever Kawhi's off the court, just give him a chance to to keep the ship afloat, until the captain comes back. And I think Kawhi, he's good enough to take both of these guys on between Book and KD. But I do agree with all of you guys though, and since we all made our picks, we all have Phoenix winning in either 6 or 7. With Paul George, how do we have this series going though? I feel like this series goes 7 out, but I'd give the Clippers the edge.
I'd give
Us-
the Clippers 7 as well.
Clippers.
Nah,
7 would be-
without a doubt, it would have been 7 Suns. I'll still go with Suns.
Oh, you're still
But
going
you
Suns
still
with
going
PG?
Yeah, I'll still go with Suns. I ain't gonna lie, but it would have been a better showing for sure.
The thing about PG as well, man. I mean, playoff P, he don't perform in the playoffs. I feel
But then
and it might
remember
be right.
20. You got to give him 2021 though. He really showed himself that.
I'm giving him 1 year in the
Yeah.
last 6 years.
I mean, come on, man. That was more recent though. Come on, like
All
I
it
feel
takes
like
is
he
one
could
to
use
turn it around, right?
yeah, he gets a lot of slack. The
I mean,
the
it
guy's
does
a baller,
take
man.
only one to turn it around. But at the same time, I feel like that guy gets into his head a lot. He listens to a lot of the social media stuff. I feel like he's one of those players that tune into the what people say about him, and he kind of gets into his head about that stuff. But even with PG though, I'd Clippers 7. I would have Clippers at 7.
Hey man, speaking of PG, man, he's just like us. He's got a podcast now, man. Well, I don't know what it's called. I think it's called Podcast P.
Podcast P.
Podcast P, man. He's just like us, man. But yeah, we all got the Suns winning this series. Let's go ahead and move on to the fastest pace series of the Western Conference between these two teams, man. We have the Sacramento Kings playing the Golden State Warriors, man, the reigning champs. Who do we got?
I got the Warriors in 6 in this matchup. I feel like this is gonna be a chess match. You got Mike Brown, a former assistant coach of the Warriors, from 2016 to 2022, going up against his former head coach and Steve Kerr. It's gonna be a battle of adjustments. It's gonna be a huge chess match between two elite offenses. And the Warriors, the offenses wouldn't suggest that they've been elite this year, but when they have their best starting lineup out there, they're as good as anybody in basketball. And so this is gonna be a match versus adjustments. Who's gonna fold first in that category? And I feel like the Warriors, they do a great job of exploiting holes in. One guy that they're gonna definitely try to go after is Sabonis. He's a guy who struggles versus athleticism and length, and he's a very brute force type of guy. But when you're going up against a guy like Kevon Looney, who's an immovable brick, and you have a guy in Draymond Green next to him, it's gonna be tough in that type of series, and it's gonna be interesting to see how the Kings adjust to that matchup. But at the same time, on the other end, they have the best fourth quarter basketball player in the league. A guy who, when it comes to the fourth quarter, he's fearless, and that's something that always translates to basketball. When you're able to show up in high stakes basketball, I know regular season fourth quarters aren't as big as playoff basketball, but they're still huge. When you're able to really show up when the margins are tight, I feel like that translates really well. And De'Aaron Fox is definitely going to be someone that has a huge series, and it's going to be tough trying to guard someone that quick. Andrew Wiggins, he does a great job against wings, but I'm interested to see how he's going to do against such a speedy point guard in De'Aaron Fox. But ultimately, I got the Warriors in 6 because they have the best player on the floor, and he's going to be, and his type of play style is one that's going to exploit everybody's weaknesses, and someone like Sabonis is going to be unplayable, which in turn kind of hurts their offense. So give me the Warriors in 6.
Yeah, this series is this one got my eye. It got my eye because I'm watching a few players that, and I'm like, there's a lot of people I watch during the playoffs that I'm looking at them through a microscope. And one guy, his name is Domantas Sabonis. Yes, I'm gonna say the full name because I'm watching you. I am watching you every single move. And this guy is unplayable in the playoffs. Let me tell you why. Because it's a fast-paced game, and the way he plays is, hey, I'm gonna dribble handoff. Oh, I'm gonna look at the cutter. I'm gonna dime it off. Nah, you need to space the floor out and let Fox do his thing, let Buck do his thing, and that's where this team thrives at, and he hurts them on that. So, thus, my conclusion on that is he's unplayable in the playoffs. Furthermore, I feel like the Warriors are definitely intact and ready to go for their championship run. They got the guys. They're getting Wiggins back. Curry's obviously, without a doubt, one of the best players in the league. Obviously, Clay could still shoot that. He shot like what 40 on like extremely great. He shot with great efficiency and he's shooting a lot too. So you got to salute him out. He gets a lot of slack, but he shot well this year. And the Warriors winning at 6, man. But obviously, Fox is a great young player. I'm excited to see him play in a playoff stretch. So I'm excited to see him play.
Man, shout out Sacramento for making the playoffs after, 17 years. Let's just speak about that. 17 years, it's a long time coming for a team to make the playoffs. Long time coming, and they're back in the mix, sitting at the third seed. They play phenomenal this season. Just want to, clap it up for them. They did good, but man, ultimately this series is going to be fun. I feel like this series, Golden State got some competition this first round. They're going to have some fun, they're going to have to figure out what they got to do. And I think, with the experience and Curry leading the way with Draymond's experience as well. I got the Warriors in 6, but I feel like it's gonna be a fun series. Guys like Kyle Korver, Klay Thompson, my bad. He gotta have to show up on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. Guys like Jordan Poole, all of his numbers been down since last year, except the scoring. His shooting numbers, his 3-point percentage, his free throw numbers, a lot of it's been down. So I feel like he got to come back into the mix and he got to show up like what he did last year in the playoffs and come in, be aggressive and not settle for shots like he does a lot. So, those type of guys, Draymond's going to be a big factor. Guys like Wiggins, he's coming back. This was his first game in how long? It's going to be first game in almost a month and a half, 2 months.
Month and a half.
He's been out for a minute, so it's gonna take some time for him to get in that groove. I don't see Wiggins really falling off defensively like that. I feel like he's gonna be there consistently on the defensive side of the ball, but it might take some time for him to get used to the offense. They picked up GP, Gary Payne's back on the squad, another great defender. So guys like that are gonna feel the rolling, and I feel like the young stars and Sacramento, Fox, Malik Monk, so even Sabonis part of it, they're gonna have to play phenomenal every single game. They can't take a day off if they want to compete and have a chance against these guys. Like if Fox has one bad game, it's over. Malik Monk doesn't show up every game, it's gonna be bad for them. Sabonis having a bad game, it's gonna be over. These guys have to consistently be ready to show up. Guys like Kevin Huerter, guys like Keegan Murray, guys like Davion Mitchell, Harrison Barnes, they're gonna have to show up as well. So I feel like for the Kings, one of the best offensive ratings, just go, 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 go. We're not going to get the rebound. Push that pace, attack, attack, attack. We've seen Fox in the fourth quarter as one of the best fourth quarter clutch players that we've seen this year. Is probably the best, and I expect him to go off against his Warriors defense. I don't think guys like Curry, Clay, Jordan Poole, they can't stick with him. Even Wiggins, I feel like he's too fast for Wiggins. So it's going to be tough for the Warriors on the defensive side of the ball to handle this explosive backcourt that they have, and it's going to be a fun series. But ultimately, the experience, Curry, one of the best players in the league, and just having guys like Draymond and Clay being there, being in the playoffs so much, they're gonna just come out and win a 6. So I expect a fun series.
Yeah, man, like the beam, man, like the beam. Sacramento, man, it's up to you. When do you want to light the beam? With is it game 1? Is it gonna be game 2? Because I don't have it going any further than 5. I got the Warriors coming out and dominating this series, whether they want to take it from the jump or kind of start off a little slow and kind of just pick it up for the rest of the 4 games. But the Sacramento Kings, man, they won't be doing too much lighting the beam for the rest of the season. Yeah, they're good. I'm just gonna give them one more in this first round. I just feel like like I've mentioned this entire season, the experience is gonna give these guys the edge, and simply because I just feel like it's like you guys have highlighted, Sabonis is gonna be a huge problem in this series, man. Because I feel like when you throw him into high pick and roll situations with Steph and Draymond, like, and he's not necessarily stepping up high to stop Steph's 3-pointer, and even if he does, it's a blow by for Steph. And even if they try to double him, it's a dump off to Draymond Green. Draymond can make a play. We all know how great of a facilitator he is, but that's just going to be a huge problem for this team, man. But this series is going to be extremely fast. Like if you take your eyes off the screen, a team's going to have already been scored. The buck has already been scored. Like the Kings are going to score, Warriors are going to score at a high fast pace. It's just going to be a lot to keep up with. But at the end of the day, I feel like the reigning champs, they figure this thing out, and they're gearing up for this dogfight right now, man. They know they got to go through a lot of teams to reach the ultimate goal, and that's winning an NBA championship. And they're my pick, and I feel like they have the tools. They're getting the guys back. They've been healthy for the last month, and they got the coaching. They got everything ready to go, man. And there's not a player in the league that I trust more in the NBA playoffs other than Steph Curry, man. Because I know that when the playoffs come around, he takes his game up to another level, just like a lot of these other superstars in this league. So I got the Warriors getting these guys out of here in 5 games. It's gonna be an interesting 5 games though. But I do hear you guys when you guys say 6. It could go 6, but I'm gonna go ahead and be a little bit edgy here. I'm gonna go 5. So give me that, and then let's go ahead and talk about a series that I feel like that could go either way between these two teams, man. We got the Memphis Grizzlies at the number 2 seed going up against the Los Angeles Lakers, man. The Lakers are back in the playoffs. Who do we got?
I have the Grizzlies in 7 in this series. My thing about the Grizzlies is I would have had them in 6 if they were healthy. In terms of having Brandon Clark and Steven Adams, because that's a big drop off when Jaren Jackson Jr. sits. But the reason why is I feel like people think this is the 2020 Lakers. Like, I feel like people are sitting down there thinking this is a team that has that same level of flexibility with their lineups, that has the same level of guard play depth that championship roster has, and it just does not. We just saw against the Timberwolves how trash D'Angelo Russell was, how bad Malik Beasley was, and Vanderbilt how terrible he was offensively. When those guys aren't playable, what does the offense look like? Are you really going to be relying on Dennis Schroeder to give you 21 points? I don't think that's a consistent option to have. Are you really going to be relying on Rui Hachimura to give you contribution consistently? He has been better as of recently, but if Vanderbilt is unplayable, or let's say he does play, Vanderbilt's on the floor, Jaren Jackson is going to absolutely destroy the Los Angeles Lakers. If Vanderbilt shares the court with Anthony Davis, Jaren Jackson is going to just dominate the Lakers. The reason why is he's not going to guard Vanderbilt. He's just literally going to roam off Vanderbilt, and he's going to kill anybody that comes to the rim. And this guy's the defensive player of the year, in my opinion, this year. He's looking like he's going to be the favorite. But if this guy's able to roam off Vanderbilt, then they're just going to get dominated on that side of the floor, on both sides of the floor in reality. And then, of course, John Morant. If Vanderbilt sits, who's going to be guarding John Morant? I don't want to hear Dennis Schroeder is going to be guarding John Morant, because that's just not going to happen. He's not going to be able to stop John Morant. I just feel like in terms of physicality, if there's one team that can to match the level of physicality that the Lakers have, it's 100% the Memphis Grizzlies. I feel like their lack of point of attack defense at the guard level, I just don't feel like they have enough guard depth or even guards to be able to stop them. Malik Beasley, if he's not hitting shots, he's unplayable in the series. D'Lo, we literally seen him against a worse Memphis squad last year and how he looked. He's unable to deal with physicality. Vanderbilt, he's going to get run off the floor if he's unable to contribute anything offensively. And I just like Memphis in this matchup. I do think that there's question marks about Jaren Jackson Jr.'s foul trouble and the drop off from their bigs on their lineup. But I like their depth. I like Luke Kennard. I like Santi Aldama. They have probably the best backup point guard in the league in Tyus Jones. They have a lot of good pieces on this roster. And then Desmond Bane, to me, is the X factor for this team. I just don't think someone like Austin Reeves is going to be able to stop Desmond Bane. I mean, last year we saw Desmond Bane, even with a back injury, I think he shot almost 49% on 9 attempts from 3. Last year. So, I mean, I like the Grizzlies in this matchup. So, give me them in 7.
It's a parade inside my city. What are y'all talking about, man? Give me John. Give me John 6. What? I think LeBron gets like good 2, like loosely weird wins, but John, they're locking it. They're getting them out of there in 6, man. I know they're starting Xavier Tillman. They're a little bit small, but just the fact that they have the superstar, we gotta stop living in old times. That guy LeBron it's over, man. He's washed, as they say. Anthony Davis, obviously, he's probably the X factor for them to probably get it to 7. But I feel like John's gonna be the deciding factor of them actually like finalizing the series. So obviously, I'm gonna take this is a layup here. Give me the Grizzlies at 6, without a doubt.
Yeah, I'm hearing Luke Kennard and Santi Aldama is going to be factors. Xavier Charles Tillman is going to be a factor. Guys like that are going to be factors. Dylan Brooks.
It's hilarious because this guy's going to literally mention Austin Reeves right after. Like, are we serious here?
I mean, Austin Reeves did drop 50 on Desmond Bane's head.
But that's the same thing. Luke Kennard, Austin Reeves, that's the same thing. Different font.
It's literally flirting. This is an elite sharpshooter. Why would I not name an elite sharpshooter?
Desmond Bane though. Desmond Bane's a hooper. He's one of the hoopers on that team. But all the Xavier Charles Tillman, guys like Santi Aldama, Those guys are
Good
non-factors.
basketball players. Good basketball players.
Non-factors. AD with one leg is gonna drop 40 on his head. Jaren Jackson offensively is a horrible player. I'm
No,
a guy that
This guy's
averaged
living in
14,
last
15.
year, bro. This guy's living.
Hey, he got
Look,
last
we're
better.
year.
living
He got
last year.
better.
We're
He
living
got
last
better.
year,
He
right?
got better.
We're
3-1
living in
series
last
this
year.
year. 3-1
He's
Lakers
living.
this year.
He's
3-1
living.
Lakers this year.
But it's
We're
a
up
regular
3-1
season.
When
Why
Ja
we
was
up
out,
any-
when
up
Ja,
3. LeBron was out.
Why-
AD
why-
was
why are
out.
we
LeBron
taking-
was out.
Why are
AD
we
was
taking?
out. Did
Why are
they
we
play?
taking regular season matchup serious, bro?
Man,
Let
like
this
I
play
said,
on
no, we're
basketball.
taking regular season. When they
Let's
had
play on
all the
bas. Let's play on
Playoff
basketball.
we gonna cook him. We gonna cook him. We've seen LeBron in the playoffs. We know AD's resume in the playoffs. We don't know what Ja Desmond Bay did.
hey, when Ja, hey, let me ask you. Let me ask you this one
Xavier
thing.
Charles Tillman,
Let-
that guy from X Men.
I got a
That's
question.
who your center is?
I got a question
Come
for you.
on.
I got a
Go
question for
ahead.
you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
When Ja took his mental break, obviously he was going through some stuff at the time. Did JJ
No.
not?
Just say his gun. The gun.
He
holster,
took
him
a.
flexing his
Let's
gun,
not say that.
you
He
know?
took a mental break.
Nah,
Let's
he
be
was trying to be. He
professional.
was trying to be a gang member flexing his gun on IG. Let's say that.
What's up with this
None
guy?
of that, you know.
Let's be
None
professional
of
here.
that other stuff, man.
He took-
We ain't
he
being
took a-
professional. We ain't being
He
professional.
took a mental break.
A quote unquote
JJ
mental health break. But let's carry on.
Quote unquote.
My
Adam
question
Silver
is-
told him to take a break.
Let me ask my question, man. Did JJJ not improve his offense once he took that break? Did he not improve his
Can't
offense?
respect the guy that throws his ass out every 3. That's how
I
he
bet.
shoots.
See, we gonna see you out of
shoots like
6,
an
man.
eighth grader.
All right,
He
bet,
shoots like
bet,
an
bet.
eighth grader. Lakers in 6. We gonna put some money on that too after this call. Promise. I ain't gotta speak.
Funny thing is, last 20 games, Jaren Jackson's been averaging 23. Let's just keep that in mind.
Yeah, and AD since All-Star break been averaging 27 and 12.
Just play. Just all I'm saying is play. Put Vanderbilt on the court. Let Vanderbilt
Vanderbilt's
be
not a
on the
factor.
court.
You gonna bring up Saint T on Dom? I can't pronounce.
No,
the
he's
guy's
a good.
first name.
No, I'm saying is literally.
not
I'm
a good
saying
basketball
who's gonna
player.
guard John Morant? Just answer that
Who's
question.
gonna guard LeBron? Who's gonna
No,
guard
who?
LeBron?
No, Dylan Brooks.
gonna guard
Obviously.
AD?
What?
Who's
What's
gonna
guy
guard
asking me?
Dylan Brooks gonna guard LeBron now?
Yes,
Dylan Brooks is not LeBron.
he's gonna guard LeBron. You're asking me. I'm asking. I'm telling
Can
you
you
who's gonna
stop him?
guard. He doesn't
We
have to
got
stop
5
him.
players
He's
on the
gonna
court. We're gonna
listen.
have 5 players. We're gonna make Demetrius
The game
shoot.
of
We're gonna
basketball.
make
The game of
We're gonna make
basketball.
Demetrius
The
shoot.
game of
Hey, he
the
doesn't
game of
have to
basketball.
stop him. He
The
has
game
to
of basketball
frustrate
isn't
him.
stop him. He just
Yeah.
literally has to try his best to bother LeBron James. That is Dylan Brooks'
Like that.
job.
We got
I'm
5 players
saying.
on the court
I'm
to
saying is
stop,
who's gonna
Ja.
even.
We got
I'm saying.
5 players on the court to stop
Who?
Ja.
Who?
Like you said, it's a game
Who?
of basketball. We got 5 starting lineups.
No,
We
I'm
got
saying
our starting
Dylan
lineup.
Brooks is a
AD,
capable
Hey.
defender.
LeBron, Vanderbilt, Reeves. We got 5 players on the court to stop Ja. If
Listen,
you want,
I'm saying
That's
who's gonna be in front of Ja to even stop him
physically
get to a
abuse
paint.
them. Hey, Jaren Jackson 6'9". They're gonna play a 6'9" and under lineup with a guy from X-Men named Xavier
Wait,
Charles.
brother. Did you say Jaren Jackson's 6'9"? The guy's damn near 7 foot. You know that, right?
6'10".
7'3" wingspan. He's 6'11.
6'10".
He's 6'11. He's 6'11. Almost a damn near
You know the
7
matchups
foot.
this year. Every game Jaren Jackson played against AD, he got cooked this year. It wasn't even fair. He got abused by AD. He got abused. With
You know what's
Westbrook on
funny?
the court.
You know what's funny?
Westbrook is
You know what's funny?
Westbrook is
You know
no
what's funny?
different than Vanderbilt.
You know what's funny?
Westbrook is no different than Vanderbilt.
No, that's
Westbrook is
not
no
the same
different
thing.
than Vanderbilt.
It's because
they left Westbrook.
I'm
Hold on, what's
they
funny
left
though? What's
Westbrook
funny though? What's
I'm
funny
saying
though?
is who's gonna be the point of attack defender on John Morant? That's my question. You cannot answer that.
Doc-
Who's gonna be in
Doc
front
can
of John
get his.
Morant?
Doc can get his. He can get his. We know Doc.
Oh, now he
his.
can get his. Now he can get
We
his.
know Doc can get his. He's gonna eat. Yes, but everybody else on the team.
No, it's not.
Dylan
It's not a
Brooks,
it's not a matter of who get his.
Dylan
Who's
Brooks,
gonna be
we
in
gonna clamp
front of him?
Darren Jackson, we're gonna clamp him. Desmond Bane's gonna
Absolutely
have
not.
an all right game here and there, but we're gonna clamp him. Let Ja go get his 40 every game.
I'll give you
Every
this. I don't
other
think you're gonna clap JJJ, but he might get in foul trouble. That's like his
That's a quick
That's
thing.
his problem,
At
yeah.
least you know.
I'll give you that.
JJJ.
I'll give you that.
Foul trouble's where it
Clamping
comes.
JJJ. I ain't worried about Jaren Jackson offense, bro. We spoke about this early on in the year. I ain't worried about Jaren Jackson offense
But his offense is
At all.
improved though, so it doesn't make
At
any
all.
sense.
at all.
His
At
offense
all.
actually
With
better
Ja
now.
back
So
on the
Big
court,
H,
with
you're
Ja back on
extremely
the court.
confident in this series, right? Guns blazing, like
100%
eyebrow
confident.
raising.
I've been saying, give me Memphis for 6 months. I want Memphis. We got Memphis.
He's excited.
Yeah, he really. Hey,
Hell,
we're all on this call, man. He really wants Memphis, man. He really wanted
Wait,
Memphis.
so
told
it's
you I want
Lakers.
Memphis.
Lakers in how many games?
6.
You got him getting out of there in 6. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. To make my pick, man, Big H, we're not on the same side always, but I believe in this series, it's only right that we stay on the same side. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the Lakers in this series, simply because, one, in our preseason predictions, when we rank the best duos in the Western Conference, I was one of those guys that were extremely high on guys like Anthony Davis and LeBron James. And, it's nice to have these two guys back in the postseason. And it's been a while since we've seen these guys, come into the postseason healthy. The last time they were able to come into the postseason healthy, their season ended up in a championship, as we all remember. You know, obviously they came into the playoffs the year after that, but AD was banged up, wasn't able to go against the Suns. And then obviously Solomon Hill injuring LeBron's ankle in late March. Not enough time for LeBron to recover and get back out there on the court 100%, but he tried giving it his all, but at 80%, 60%. But I trust those guys, man. I trust AD. I trust LeBron James in the postseason. That's why I was so high on them. And in this situation, I can't go against them because it's like this is AD and LeBron we're talking about. If there's any guy other than Steph Curry, I'm going LeBron, and obviously AD, who could be a co-star to LeBron, who has the experience of being a champion, you know, and going far in the postseason, playing in hostile environments. These guys know what it takes to win, and so that's my first point. And then number two is just the fact that the game of basketball, the game of playoff basketball is just it's a slow paced game sometimes for some teams. You know, obviously it's just not going to be always like the Sacramento Kings and the Golden State Warriors, where these two teams are going to be running up and down the court extremely fast. Like you got to play half court. You got to have a half court offense in the playoffs. You can't the up and down, fast break, fast paced style of basketball. It's gone when it comes down to the playoffs, man. You got to be able to run your sets and get your guys opportunities to get some buckets. And I feel like, you know, that's where the Memphis Grizzlies kind of struggle, man, in the half court. These guys are kind of like that
especially without Steven Adams.
You know, so
half court offense kind of tanked without Steven Adams.
They're just Brandon Clark and Steven Adams.
It's just gonna be tough. Like, and then on top of the fact that they're not a good half court offense team, you know, that's where I kind of give the Lakers the edge, man, because I can trust LeBron James running an offense in the half court. You know, we know how his offense works. You know, you put LeBron James and you surround him with shooters, kind of run the pick and roll with him and AD and try to get the best look possible. I can trust that. But for the Memphis Grizzlies, I can't necessarily trust that, man, because, you know, obviously I know how special of a player Ja is. We all know how special of a player he is. He's going to do his thing. And I'm not too sure, Big H, what you're talking about. This guy's going to dominate the series from start to finish. I'm sorry. There's just no way, you know, this guy's going to have a bad game whatsoever. He's going to do his thing. But the thing is, I hear you, though. You know, you let Ja cook because you can't necessarily do anything to stop him. Right? But you got to take away all of the other options. And we've seen that in the postseason last year when they ran into the Golden State Warriors, where early on in the series before Ja got injured, it was just Ja doing his thing and nobody else really had the opportunity, or nobody really just came along with him. And that's where I feel like the struggles are going to start for the Memphis Grizzlies.
My only point against that is I feel like the Warriors have a lot better point of attack defenders. Like they have Wiggins, they had Gary Payton Jr., that Klay Thompson. They have a bunch of guys out there that can switch out into the perimeter. I feel like the Lakers don't really have guards that play defense. That's my only thing. I feel like if we're talking about elite perimeter defenders on Lakers, after Vanderbilt, who's the next best defender on that Lakers team outside?
You got to ask Ant why he shot 3 for 19 the other day.
He was trash. He like that doesn't really explain. Doesn't really explain much. And plus he had a shoulder cramp. I mean, come on, man.
The shoulder injury too now. Like,
no, I agree though. I agree though. It's not the defenders that the Warriors got. It doesn't necessarily match up with the defenders what the Lakers got. But I feel like, you know, obviously ever since the trade deadline, man, the Lakers have been a great team defensively. So I feel like if these guys can get the rotation right, they can lock in on that side of the ball. So it's just not. Their defense is not going to be as effective as you know the Warriors were against the Memphis Grizzlies. But I feel like it's going to be pretty damn good. And, you know, losing, like Big H mentioned just now, losing guys like Steven Adams, losing guys like Brandon Clark, those are bodies, man. You got to have some bodies when you go up against a guy like Anthony Davis, man. And, you know, obviously Jaren Jackson, we gave him a shot for Defensive Player of the Year, and we talked about how, you know, the season he had on the defensive side of the ball. But, you know, Bandit's right, man. The only thing that I have a question mark about him is his foul trouble. Can he stay on the floor for, you know, 35 to 37 minutes in the postseason? Can he do that? Like, can he really be effective on both sides of the ball without getting in foul trouble? We just haven't seen that yet. And I feel like if Jaren Jackson is not on the floor to guard Anthony Davis, who are you putting on him? Are you gonna put Xavier Tillman on him? Like, come on now, that's food. Like, you can, AD's gonna have himself a field day, and Dylan Brooks, his job is he can't stop LeBron. They don't have a guy that can stop LeBron. They just got a guy that can bother LeBron, kind of get in his head, get under his skin. But LeBron's been here before, man. So I feel like, you know, Dylan Brooks gonna try his hardest. He's gonna try to play dirty a little bit, but, you know, at the end of the day, this is LeBron James we're talking about. He's gonna overcome all of that. And then, you know, you guys talked about Desmond Bane, Big H. I didn't mention the little this in the shot you threw at Klay Thompson, calling him Kyle Korver, you know, in the last predictions when we talked about the Warriors and stuff like that. I didn't like that, but this Desmond Bane guy, everyone was giving him a shot to be better than Klay Thompson all of last year and all of this year. He's gonna have to prove it to me now. You guys said he was hurt last year in that second round. He has the opportunity to rewrite that wrong.
Sure.
he has the opportunity now to prove to me that he's a top shooting guard in this league, or if he's better than just Klay Thompson. He don't gotta be a top shooting guard, just be a better shooting guard than Klay Thompson. If he does that, and he has to do that in this series, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like he's gonna have to be a guy that's the X factor for this Memphis Grizzlies team. And I just feel like at the end of the day, the game plan for the Memphis Grizzlies, man, is pretty simple. They gotta get Ja going and they gotta play their pace of basketball. But if the Memphis Grizzlies are able to win this series, it just goes to show that they learned from their mistakes last year. Because of course we can go back to that Timberwolves series where they gifted the Timberwolves a lot of those games, but the Timberwolves were just a dumb and young franchise, just to gift those games right back to them. So it's just like that series could have gone either way, but they ran into the reigning champs, and unfortunately, when you give games to a franchise like that, they're going to take it and run with it. So I feel like the Lakers are kind of like the same like the Warriors, where if you gift them a game or two, they're not going to look back, man. They're going to take that and hound on the opportunity. So go ahead and give me the Lakers to win this one. I think this series goes the distance. It's going to be a 7-game series. So I feel like, LeBron and AD put on and hopefully Darvin Ham doesn't really change the rotations much, and kind of just plays the right guys. And LeBron James and AD gonna do their thing and coast into the second round, man. We're gonna see a nice little matchup between Golden State and the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm hoping for it, man. I'm trying to see that. I ain't trying to see Memphis again, because the Warriors gonna get him out of there real quick. But yeah, man, that pretty much wraps up our round 1 playoff predictions. If you go to our Instagram page at New Media Podcast, you'll be able to see all of our playoff predictions. We posted it all on Insta and Twitter and stuff like that, so you'll be able to see who we got, each and every round, and who we're crowning champion at the end of the season.
Record a new hit, then we making us a film. Wouldn't sign a deal if I got a couple mil. Been in the lab, now they throwing out deals. Me and now Lakes, now that's overkill.